Hey everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's September and holy four-letter word. I can't believe that it's September and it's like here we are. We're going into the last quarter of the year and I want you guys to finish out 2020 strong. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about certain topics to really help you finish 2020 strong. And I know 2020 has been a wackadoo year for most of us. But this doesn't have to be the year of COVID or the year that you XYZ lost your job or your dates dried up or that this can be the year that you stepped into the voice that is going to serve you and help you manifest everything that you have wanted out of this artistic journey. And these are the things that are going to help you get there. So today we're talking about, do you have what it takes? And that can be a loaded question. And it can also be kind of a judgy question. It's like, do you have what it takes? I don't know. Do you? Does she? And I don't mean it like that. I mean, do you understand who you have to be and what you need to believe in order to succeed as a professional singer in this very uncertain industry, COVID or not? This career is always like this, and we're always thrown curveballs. If you want certainty, don't become a professional singer. But if this is your passion and this is what you were meant to do and this is your gift and this is why you were put on this planet, we know that this path is full of uncertainty, COVID or not. So when we talk about, do you have what it takes? I'm talking about, do you understand who you need to be, how you need to show up, and what you need to believe in order to go through this journey and be successful in whatever success means to you. So, if you're out there, like a lot of us in this group, and you're hustling and you're auditioning and you're gigging and you're recording, but you're not breaking in to the big leagues and you're not sure what else you could be doing to get there, sometimes, maybe a lot of the time, it can make you question, am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? It's like, you have this talent, you have this potential, but is there something else? Is there something else? Is there something more that it takes to become a world-class artist? And in my opinion, take what you like, leave the rest, but in my opinion, the answer is yes. So in this live, we're going to talk about exactly what it takes to really own your voice and have an abundant career. And also how to know when it's time to just hang up your cleats, because if the things that I mentioned, if you're not them and you don't feel like you can be them, then that's okay too. You can sing and love it and do it, as your passion, rather than your vocation. But today we're going to talk about what it takes to really be a world-class artist in the professional arena. So here's the first thing. It takes commitment. And I know that sounds like, yeah, duh, Arden, of course it takes commitment. But what I mean by commitment is I don't just mean commitment to the goal. I mean commitment to your why. Like, why are you doing this? Because those who just say, like, I just want to get a Grammy or I just want to perform at the Met, that's all very well and good. You can have goals, right? But those two things are really hard to achieve. And there are a lot of challenges that are going to come up for you, a lot of doors that are going to be closed in your face, a lot of no's that you're going to get on that road. And the most successful singers are the ones who are committed to the why. Why do they want to do those things? For some, it might be, because I want to make an impact. I have something to say. I have a message. Those of you who are message-driven artists, whether it's a message through your music, if you're a singer-songwriter, or whether it's sort of a larger message that is, let's say you're a Broadway singer and it's not like you're going out every night singing songs about whatever this message is, you're in a show, but you have this larger why. Let's say LGBTQ rights are important to you. Let's say Black Lives Matter is important to you, right? If you understand that by making it, you have a much bigger platform to make an impact on those messages, then that's a real big important why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want this? Why are you wanting to be successful? For some, it's about they want to, be a model for their kids. They want to walk the talk. They don't want to just be somebody that says to their kids, whether they have kids now or their eventual kids, they don't want to just be somebody who says, go after your dream. If you put your mind to it, you can do anything. Like, don't give up on your dream. So they're saying this, but they're like sitting at, their crappy day job, sitting on the sidelines, playing small because they never got past the issues that could help them actually, make an impact with their voice and get to that next level. So for some, it's that. So the idea of being committed, first you got to understand why you're doing this, because it's really hard to be committed to something, but you don't know why. So what's your big why? Why are you doing this? Why are you committed to this, right? And once you understand that, it's so much easier to be committed to getting up and practicing every day, or writing every day, or going to those auditions, or when you're having issues with your voice, with your breath control, with whatever it is, and it can be really frustrating. And you just want to just throw up your hands and be like, this is too hard, screw this, right? Those who don't have a good why, it's real easy to just get sucked into the day-to-day and your to-do list, and to not take risks and to not commit yourself to the things that you need to do to get past the issues, to get where you want to go, because you're not connected to that why. So it's easy to get distracted, and that's how talented singers just end up kind of languishing. It's not enough just to have the talent, right? Those, in my experience, who really make it are committed because whatever their personal why is, they're real in touch with that. So that's the first thing. Committed and know your why. And when you're struggling and when you're frustrated, when you've come up, against a block, like when you remember that why, it's going to get you past that block and it's going to keep you committed. So that's the first thing, committed. The second thing that I think it takes is being resourceful and being decisive. So those two kind of go together. So the thing about being resourceful is those who are the most successful, they don't take no for an answer. They're going to get creative, they're going to get resourceful, and they're going to find a way to get what they need and to get where they want to go no matter what. Now, I'm not talking about doing illegal stuff. You guys know that. But what I'm talking about is, let's say that you want to work with this teacher, and let's say this teacher is above your budget, but because you've paid for cheaper teachers, that they don't give you what you want, and they haven't helped you. And so that this is the teacher you want to work with, but it's above your budget. So those who are the most successful are resourceful and decisive, and they're like, okay, so this is above my budget. So does that mean that I don't get to work with this teacher? Hell no. It means that they get resourceful to find a way to work with that teacher if they are super committed to their why, and they understand that they need this help on their technique, and this is the right teacher that matches them and it feels aligned. So they're going to do whatever they have to do to find the money. You guys, it's never a matter of resources. It's always a matter of resourcefulness. So take on an extra job for a couple of months. Maybe you have something sitting in your house that you don't use anymore. I mean, we have tons of stuff, probably thousands of dollars of stuff sitting around our house that we don't use anymore. I have 3 keyboards. I really only use one. So if I needed to raise a ton of money, I could sell a keyboard. You see what I'm saying? It's like those who are resourceful are the ones who are creative, who find a way. Getting resourceful with your time. That's a big one. Oh, I'm working my day job and I have to take care of this and I have to take care of that. And I can't find the time to write or the time to practice, or everything just kind of gets in the way. And my answer to that is, how bad do you want this? How bad do you want this? Those who are the most successful, those who succeed, are the ones who get resourceful with their time. So if it means getting up an hour earlier every day so you can do your vocal practice, do it. If it means taking on, an hour a day to sit and like time block out or I meant to say an hour a week. 1 hour a week to sit and time block your schedule for the rest of the week so that you know that this is when I'm doing if you're a songwriter, this is when I'm going to write, or this is when I'm going to, do my vocalises or whatever it is, right? It's never a matter of the amount of time that you have. It's amount of getting resourceful with the time you have. When you're committed to the why, it's easy to get resourceful. Nothing's going to stand in the way when you know why you're doing this and it means something to you. So resourceful. Now, there's also this idea of being decisive, which matches with resourcefulness, which is when you see an opportunity, you go after it. You don't procrastinate. You're not full of excuses for why you can't. You're going to find a way that you can, and you make that decision and you're decisive, because you know what, you guys, there are probably tons of opportunities that have passed you by because you hemmed and you hawed, or you sat on it, or you were a little unsure or whatever. And it's like taking calculated and inspired risks is a trait of successful people, okay? Regardless of what industry you're in. So committed, resourceful, decisive. These are the things that it takes, in my opinion. Here's another one, being accountable. And you would think that would be intuitive, but trust me, I'm sure there are plenty of you who go in with the best of intentions and are like, okay, I'm going to write every day for half an hour. I'm just going to write, or I'm going to practice every day, or I know I need to come back to lessons, so I'm going to find a teacher. And it's like days go by and it's like you do it and then you don't do it and then you lose your motivation and you lose your accountability, right? So the thing about accountability is it's a daily practice of working your technique. It's a daily practice of conditioning your mindset, because this is a tough industry. This is not for the faint of heart, And so it takes a really conditioned mindset to be able to stay the course and not give up before you're successful. It's if you think of Michael Jordan, basketball player as an example, and it's like, how do you get to be the best in the world? Is Michael Jordan sitting on his couch? No. He was shooting drills. Like when everybody else was like at home or partying or whatever, like he's shooting drills. So you don't get to be the best in the world by doing the minimum. We need balance, and we need to have self-compassion and self-care and all of these things, but that is part of the accountability, right? So be accountable to your dream. Be accountable to everything that you want to create with your voice and in this artistic journey. And again, this comes back to knowing your why and being committed to your why, because it's going to happen when it's that day and you just don't feel like doing the thing that you told yourself you were going to do. And if you don't have connection to that why, trust me, you're not going to do it. But if you remember that why, and it's like, right. So I'm getting off the couch and I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. Those that are successful are accountable. The next trait that I have noticed it takes is vulnerability. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable so that there are no blocks between you and your audience. And this is tough because it means letting people see you. Like really see you, and allow for that experience to happen in real time, because it's the vulnerability that we respond to as an audience. You've probably all watched a performer who might have been technically really good, but there was just nothing, you couldn't connect to them. They weren't putting it all out there for you. There was something kind of at arm's length, they're self-protective, and oftentimes the most successful singers and performers are not the ones who have the most flawless voice. I use this example all the time of Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan has a really weird voice. It's this kind of nasal voice. It's like a fast vibrato. It's not the voice that you would think of, of this legend. But the reason why he's a legend is because he's just himself, like 100% himself, vulnerably so when he's up there singing. There's no block between him and the audience. He just is unapologetic about who he is and what he has to say, and he's very comfortable with that. And it can be difficult for some people to be so seen in that way. And so that's why, some of us have to work on that vulnerability. Others, it comes very easy to. But either way, in my opinion, those who have what it takes have the ability to be vulnerable in front of their audience and whoever they're singing for, be it one person or 50,000 people. So that's vulnerability. And then the last trait that I think it takes is courage and confidence. And those two go together, because it's easy to be courageous when you're confident. And it's also easy to be confident when you're feeling courageous and brave to put yourself out there, right? So that this idea of courage and confidence, it's like the courage and the confidence, and this goes back also to vulnerability. It's the courage and the confidence to be yourself unapologetically and put it out there. There's so many artists who are trying so hard to be what they think the audience wants, or what they think that the industry wants, or who they think they have to be, or how they think they have to look or sound in order to be successful. And guess what, you guys? That's not interesting, because we already have, a Shawn Mendes. We already have a Rihanna. If you're in the classical world, we already have a Bryn Terfel. We don't need another one, right? If you think you have to sound like artist X in order to be successful, you're behind the curve. They've already done it. The industry is looking for the next person who everybody can get behind. And that could be you, if you are willing to be courageous and confident enough to be yourself, to know your sound and own that 100%. Instead of getting all up in there and trying to force and push and manipulate and contrive and control. And then the sound that comes out, it might sound really good to you in your head because you think it sounds like artist X who's really successful. And so if you can sound like them, then you've got to do that to be successful, right? But really, it just cuts us off from the truth and the essence of you. It's not honest. It's not vulnerable. And it's not interesting. There is only one you. There is only one voice like yours. So own it. Step into it. Know your worth and your talent and put it out there as yourself unapologetically. Those artists who do that, to me, are the ones who are the most successful. They're not trying to be anybody else. Don't try to be anybody else. Everybody else is already taken. Have you heard that saying? So applies here. And one of the examples that I love to give of this is Lady Gaga. Whether you like her music or not, you gotta respect the fact that she is and has always been, before anybody knew who she was, all of those things that I just mentioned above. And there's a fantastic documentary about her that came out last year. It's on Netflix. Don't remember the actual name of the documentary, but the poster images of her and the pink felt hat from that album, from the last album that she released. And it's a fascinating documentary because you really get to see, she really lets you see who she is, and you get to learn how she got from where she was to where she is now. And she has always been all of those things above. That was very clear to me from watching the documentary. And also just as her career has unfolded, she's committed and accountable. She made her dream her number one priority. And she kept her eye on the prize. And she continues to do that. Every action that she has taken from the time that she was in New York at NYU, trying to perform in clubs and get herself out there until today has been aligned with that purpose, right? And her purpose and her big why is and always has been extremely clear. And that's the idea. She is a message-based artist, and her message has always been this idea of like own your weird, do you. You know, she calls her fans her little monsters, and they're really important to her because she remembers how it felt to feel different and to be made fun of because of that and to be bullied because of that. And so she's now made it her career and her life to make that okay. That weird is great. You know, that's her mission. That's her big message. And it has been always from the very beginning. And every action that she has taken has been aligned with that. You know, and she has also always studied. She is a trained singer, and she has always stayed accountable to that, to her lessons and things like that. And that's why she can tour year in and year out, and her voice always shows up. It's why you can see how versatile she is. She's doing a major pop EDM album, and then the next album she's singing standards with Tony Bennett, and her voice stands up. And then she's singing like country crossover in the movie that she did with Bradley, what's his name? And her voice holds up because she's trained and she knows what she's doing with it. And the courage and vulnerability piece. I mean, I don't have to say that. You know, she is not afraid to put herself out there and to put her ideas out there. You know, she shows up to, what is it, MTV Music Awards with in a meat dress. You know, she had something to say, and she was not afraid to say it, and not afraid of what people would say. And trust me, people ridiculed that. It didn't faze her because she's committed to her why. She's committed to her message. And she has never apologized for who she is. And her fans eat it up because it's not artifice. She truly owns it. It is truly who she is. And she is aligned, and she knows who she is, and she's not afraid to put that out there. So somebody else who says, well, Lady Gaga is successful because this is what she's doing. So now this is what I have to do to be successful, is that I have to be weird and I have to put it all out there and I have to do all this stuff. But for that person, it's not going to work because it's not authentic. It's not who they are. It's not their truth. So all of this is like understanding who you are, understanding your truth, and then being accountable and committed to that. And then getting resourceful to doing what you need to do to get there in the voice and in the technique and in the career. And so, you know, committed and decisive and resourceful and accountable, these are things that you either are or you're not when it comes to your singing. And in my opinion, they're a decision, right? It's like when people want something bad enough, you know, I've never met somebody who couldn't be those four things if they knew that it meant getting what they wanted. Like if I told you that being committed, decisive, resourceful, and accountable meant that you would get to the next level with your singing in your career, would you do it? Hell yeah, you would, right? Like I said, I've never met somebody that when they didn't want something bad enough, they couldn't be those things if they knew that it meant they could get what they want. But there's one thing that can derail somebody from being those things, from being committed and decisive and resourceful and accountable to their dreams. And that thing that can derail you from being all that is fear. Okay? When fear's running the show, it will overpower all those other things. And then you get in the fear spiral in your technique. And for those of you who've watched, you know, a lot of my content, you know what that is. Because the body responds to that fear. And then you physicalize it, because that's what we do as humans. And then the fear in the body, as that physicalized part of physicalizing that emotion, it sabotages the instrument and the technique that you know. And then you make the sound that's not the good sound. And then you think, oh, well, now I suck. And then the fear comes in more that you're not good enough. And so then you go into the physical reaction more, which causes more sabotage, more bad sound, and then it's a negative feedback loop, okay? And so you've got the physical ramifications of the fear, and then you've also got the ramifications of fear on how you're going to show up for this journey of your career, because it will derail you from being all those things that are so necessary that we were just talking about. And the big fear really is, will it work for me? Am I good enough? Will this work out? You know, like, what if I get super resourceful and really committed, putting in all the time and energy and money that I need to get this dream, to make it work? What if I go for broke and just balls to the wall, right? And go for it, and then it doesn't work out, right? That is the fear that will kill those traits time and time again. The fear stemming from the inconsistency of your ability to deliver when it counts, like we were talking about what happens to the sound when you're in that fear. It prevents you from being and feeling confident, like you can own it and you can go for it. The fear of being vulnerable, right? The fear of really being seen. The fear that, like, all that not enough stuff from that so many of us carry, that we're not enough, that we're not good enough, the voice is not good enough, we're not talented enough, like that there's always somebody who's better than us and we don't measure up. Like, that creates a fear of being seen. It's a fear that you're not enough and that your voice is not enough to be seen. And it creates nerves. And then we self-protect in front of an audience. And then we lose that connection because we're with the self-protection. We're not vulnerable, like I was talking about earlier. And also the fear, it also can, in other people, create this feeling like we have something to prove. Because if we don't feel like we're enough, then we have to prove like we're enough. And that also creates a whole domino effect in the technique, because then you're into this make, force, do, push, try hard, and that kicks you off and sabotages the support and the technique, so you're not making a good sound. And that's something to prove also. It kills the vulnerability and the energy between you and the audiences, because, you know, you've all seen those performers who are like, they're just like, you know, look at me, watch me, like overdoing and all this, and it's like, and you just want to be like, chill, you know? And so all those things, the fear of being seen, the self-protecting, the something to prove, all that stuff, the fear, it prevents your performances from connecting with the audience. And when we're not connecting, I don't care how technically good you are not going to be as successful as you could be. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is about. Connecting with the audience and making an impact. And those who can do that are the ones whose records people buy, who consistently get hired for the shows, Broadway, opera, whatever you're doing, who, you know, book the big gigs because they connect. And so if you're fearful about any of those things that I was talking about, no matter how badly you wish to realize the full potential of your talent into a big, thriving, successful career, you have a really small chance of that happening because of the fear. It will take you down. It takes you out of being truly committed, decisive, resourceful, accountable to doing what you need to do to sing and perform at a level and go for the things at a level that will get you where you want to go. Because if you're in that fear and that not enough stuff, why would you bother? If that fear of will it really work for me? If that's what's playing in your head, why would you ever do the hard things and take the risks that you need to do to get resourceful, to be decisive, you know, to be accountable, if at the end of the day you don't actually believe that it's going to work for you? Why would you bother, right? So now look, I also bet that there are a bunch of you watching this who are listening to these things and who can say like a resounding yes, like I am those four things. I am decisive, accountable, resourceful, committed. And I'm all those things because I want to make a huge impact with my voice. If that's you, then you actually have everything it takes to be a world-class artist. And so then the reason that you're not there yet is probably because you just need a structure and a strategy to help you cross that bridge of fear. So if you knew how to tap into your vulnerability, if you knew how to own your voice consistently and be that confident 100% vulnerable performer, if you knew how to do that, then you'd be doing it already. You'd be doing it already, right? But just because you're not doing it now doesn't mean that you can't ever do it, right? One of my favorite sayings is, don't confuse where you are with where you want to go. So if you know that you need to make this shift, but you're not sure how, then let me help you. This is what I do, which is to help talented singers to get past their blocks so that they can perform in a way that makes the dream possible. And so I always take time in my calendar to set aside and talk to you about the step-by-step strategy that I use. The call is totally free. We chat for about 45 minutes. We're going to lay out a strategy to help you maximize all of this stuff so that you can open the doors to the career and the life that you want. So I'm going to put the link right up here. And if this is you, this is for singers who have already done a lot of studying. If you're a newbie and you haven't taken lessons yet and you're not really out there in your career yet, this is not for you. But if you have been and you're resonating with everything that I'm talking about, then book a call with me and let's get you sorted. We're coming into the end of 2020. Let's finish 2020 strong. And if you need the help and the strategy to do that, then I'm here for you. All right, you guys, sending love and a great September to you, and I'll be in again next week to talk more. Okay, everybody, bye.